4. I think we're live. Hold on. Let me just double check and make sure it went to the right group. We don't want to send this to the cat moms one. We got to make sure it's in the painting.
5, 4, 0.
All right. We're live, man. Let me pin this up top. I got Brandon here, Painter Marketing Pros. Let's get started, man. You know, we have limited time here. We're dealing with contractors. They don't want the hoopla. All right. But I do want to hear a little bit about who you are, what you do, and then we're going to get into extracting some of your secrets. Lord. We're going to get pretty deep here. So tell us a little about who you are, man, and what it is that you do.
Yep. So I am Brandon, founder and owner of Painter Marketing Pros, and we make painting contractors the premium painting option in their service area. So you can close more deals. We really specialize in residential repaint, so you can close at a high percentage for high profit margins.
I love the synopsis, but let's go a little bit deeper because when people hear marketing, Brandon, all right, usually they run away. You said this in your talk at the PCA Expo.
Yeah.
Brandon was one of the speakers there. And, you know that I think you use this term, dirty marketer. When you
Nick used it for me. Nick Slavic dubbed it for me at the winter retreat. And then I have since taken ownership of it.
All right. So, but the fact that I'm even bringing you here is a filtering out process, and you are not a dirty marketer. You're a good guy. And I think that one thing I want you to help me on help the world of contractors understand here is, that marketing is more of a necessity than a commodity. And I want you to help me understand why marketing is important from your mile high perspective at any stage in business, whether it's in the beginning or it's in the middle or if it's in the higher end of, multiple crews and things like that. Why hire a marketer to do what they believe they can do through word of mouth or, those limiting beliefs in my opinion.
Sure. Yeah. So there are a couple of reasons. You can grow through word of mouth. You're just going to grow more slowly, right? Word of mouth referrals, it's not scalable. Especially the way most people treat it, which is passively. There's a way to play that actively that most people don't play it, but you can only grow so fast. So if you're wanting to grow faster than that, if you're wanting to actually get what we call cold traffic or people who don't already know you or you didn't already paint their friends or family member's house, they need to know you, right? They need to read just like any other business in any other industry, right? Ultimately, it's about getting known. It's about differentiating. If you go the route of let's just buy leads through Angie or let's just see what we can get through HomeAdvisor or Yelp or whatever, then you're a commodity. And if you're a commodity, then the lowest price wins. And if the lowest price wins, then the reality is only the homeowner wins, except even the homeowner doesn't win because then you're forced to cut corners and they get a crap project. So actually nobody wins.
So marketing helps with perception.
It helps with perception, and it helps with letting people know who you are and what you do, right? Like for Painter Marketing Pros, we market our process. We market what makes us different. We market how we focus exclusively with painting contractors and why that's important. Not just that we do it, but why does it actually matter?
How do you help contractors convey that same message style to their customers? I mean, it's like, all right, well, yeah, of course we paint houses, Brandon, duh. Like, how do you make it to where, a random person goes to that customer that's a customer of your contractor that's a customer of yours and can instantly identify what they do, who they serve, and why they're not a commodity, why they're different?
Yep. Yeah. So it's really, I view it as a two-step process. One, get the right person through the door, the right homeowner through the door, someone who's focused on value, or at least willing to focus on value. And number two, give them a reason to value you more highly, AKA pay you more money, right? So get the right person through the door and give them a reason to pay you more money. The way you get the right person through the door is through effective marketing, not getting leads through things like HomeAdvisor, Angie, but actually getting leads organically through Google, doing effective keyword research mapping. So you know what's being researched, where, targeting the pages, getting into all the technical behind it, but actually getting that high intent traffic. So people who have sort of cash in hand, so to speak, buyers, people ready to make a purchasing decision. And then when you come through, they're still almost all going to get at least one additional estimate because they feel irresponsible not getting it. So you have to then differentiate, and oftentimes they'll get two. So you need to show them who you are. And we do that with actually a very similar process to what Dripjobs does, is we do a pre-sale where we drip different, not only appointment reminders, but we actually have customized videos. So we'll custom tailor videos for each of our clients and then drip it prior to the estimate. So when you walk through the door, you're not company X and then there's company Y and company Z, and the homeowners, well, company Z will do it for $1,000 less. No, you're John's house painting. And they know, hey, this is your process. This is what happens. Thanks so much for the opportunity to provide an estimate. I want to let you know what you can expect next. So they know, like, and trust you. And then there's company Y and company Z. And Chuck in a Truck slides up and he tries to undercut you by $1,000, but they're already spending $6,000, $7,000, $8,000. So being undercut by $1,000 from someone they don't really know, they haven't really learned anything about their company versus just paying you the extra money, and you have maybe the guarantee. Maybe you do, what a lot of guys like to do. I'm a big proponent, the free interior touch-ups for life. It's obviously a good sales process to get back into their house. You do all these, offer a workmanship warranty, and you create a shortened link and you send it to them. And so they actually can look up your workmanship warranty and actually see it, can actually know you stand behind the quality of your work. And then the other guy who comes in, and even if his estimate looks professional, hasn't already been in your mind, already kind of created a presence for himself in your mind, it's going to be a much harder sale for him. You're touching that customer multiple times in value-added ways.
So what you're talking about is the customer journey. And for those of you that weren't at Brandon's seminar, it was really about the customer journey. I live the customer journey. That's
you
what
do.
I do.
You do. It's what Dripjobs is.
I am the customer journey. Okay, all I do every day is think about how I can make the customer go to Disneyland. And some of us are not letting our customers go to Disneyland. In other words, they're going to Wild Splash Waters that closed down in 1989. There's so many questions that every customer has, right? And I think if we reverse engineer the buying process, which is something that I spend a lot of time trying to do because I'm a buyer, I am a good customer, right? And I think if you're a marketer, you have to be, right? And when you buy something, whether it be for something for your own home or something in general, you think about like, okay, well, how am I receiving this experience, right? And I think the way it's done is so outdated, and then add that on top of complete mistrust and so many questions. Remember, it's kind of like buying a house in a sense that, like, dude, you only do this 3 or 4 times in your lifetime, hiring a professional contractor to come in. And what we kind of do is we get so comfortable with these numbers that we sell jobs for 4,000, 8,000, 12,000. Like it's just, it just comes in, boom, boom, boom. But for some of these homeowners, that is the largest expense that they're going to do in 1 to 3 years in some cases, right? Is this job, right? So it's like, you got to put yourself in the shoes of these individuals as a company, as a business owner, and say, off the bat, I understand why they don't trust me. Off the bat, I understand why they're confused. Off the bat, I understand why they go with a lower quote, and I'm not offended. I just need to do a better job of conveying, number one, why they can trust me, educating to help them understand the process a little more. And then when it comes to those two things, that by default should help them question the lower quote and dive into a little more deeper. And I think that is what you are attempting to do as a marketer, is kind of be that person to slide in, audit the processes, and implement things that accomplish that goal. Is that correct?
Yeah, no, 100%. That's a great way of putting it. So yeah, we're essentially, our goal is to make it unfair for your competitors. And as rough as that may sound, we want to make it unfair. When you go provide an estimate, it's really not fair to the other painting company owners that are doing it. And if you think about it from a logical perspective, although I'm not going to get too philosophical or psychological here, because actually our purchase decisions are largely irrational as human beings. But when you think about it logically, if you don't give people a reason to value you highly, then of course they're going to choose the lowest price. Why wouldn't they? There's no logical reason, unless you just think you're so dazzling.
No, that's actually psychotic.
It would be psychotic, right? Well, I'm going to pay you more money, even though I don't know why I'm going to pay you more money.
Let me just waste this extra $1,000. And some of us say, why would you go with that company that's only $1,000 less? Remember, having empathy and understanding that, remember, this is a big expense for some. $1,000 is a lot of money. Is a lot of money.
And even for the wealthy homeowners, I think there's this misconception that if they live in a really nice house, well, then it doesn't matter. Some of them
they're smarter with money.
They're smarter.
They're smarter with money.
They really want to know what value they're getting. Yeah.
Good. Now, in terms of value, I'm big on that, right? I believe that the focus should not be an equal exchange. And I think that the customer expects that, right? The customer expects whenever they make a purchase, there should be an equal exchange there. They agree to the purchase because they believe that the value of which that they're receiving in return for the dollar is equal. Okay. That is the exchange. That is what gets people to say yes. So the focus of a contractor should be tailoring the process of sales in a way that's customized to the specific homeowner, so they feel as though that the value is one notch greater. And at that point in time, you're going to start seeing that it's so much easier to sell. And what I teach is I believe that every buyer purchases differently. Every person has a different why behind why they buy. So maybe you can hit on that in your experience of like, some of the whys behind why people buy, what you've seen, and how you tie marketing and the emotional aspect of marketing to that. I'm interested to hear what you've done.
I absolutely love that. So I always say you're either a zero or a hero with when you hire a painting company, right? And people are more afraid. It's fact. People are more afraid oftentimes to public speak than they are of dying, right? And so why are we so afraid of speaking in public? We're so afraid of speaking in public because we have sensitive, delicate egos, because our egos are of critical importance to us. We care a lot about what other people think and whether they might think poorly of us. When you hire a painting company, that is a risky proposition for people, because they're going to come into your house and everything that they do is going to be oh so evident to everyone who comes into that person's house afterwards. So if they hire somebody who did a shoddy job, maybe didn't help them with color matching, it looks terrible, the paint was low quality, whatever they did to screw up the job. Now when their in-laws come in, when their family members, when their friends, when their neighbors go to their house, have a dinner party, it's, oh, I see you did something with the house. Okay, great. Right? Zero. Feels terrible. They're humiliated. When you hire someone who absolutely knocks it out of the park, maybe did free color consultation, or they weren't thinking about things quite the right way, and actually made sure that they had the right paint and color and everything else, and you left the home better than when you came into it. And then their in-laws, I think is the easiest way to think about it, but really anybody came in, oh, wow, what you guys remodeled? I love what you did with that. Now they're a hero. Right. So the disparity is huge. You have a plumber come in, most likely you're not going to get, a burst pipe while someone's at the dinner party. You have an electrician come in, most likely the house isn't going to light on fire. Right. That stuff's behind the scenes. So you might get screwed by those people. And oftentimes people have. And painting contractors, nothing super special about you, not in the eyes of the homeowner. You're all contractors. You're all distrusted. Anybody screwed them. Everybody screwed them. Right. So now when you go in, the difference with you is that your work is right there on the wall. Your work is everywhere, and people are
and I think it's even further in that. If you think about the exterior side of painting contractors,
anyone driving by,
which is even worse, because ultimately, that is the neighbors, right? That is, the
nosy neighbors.
But the thing is like I will never pitch that in a sense. Well, you don't want to have a contractor come in and get overspray on your your roof if you hire someone else. Never do it that way. But I say, hey, one thing we're going to do is we're going to make sure that there's no overspray on your roof by ensuring that, we use shields and the appropriate equipment and skill set to ensure that doesn't happen. So God forbid anyone drives by, that'll definitely leave a mark. So in other words, I never use it in a way that I'm going to create fear, but I just want to create awareness in my customers. Awareness. Sure. And that's because I know they haven't been through this process and they don't know what the outcome will be. And in most cases, it happens where it'll be too late, right? Yeah. It'll be too late. And it's hard because it's not, and I liken it to this, and I'm sure you'll appreciate this. I used to sell cars. So they would be able to sit in the car, feel it out, see what the end result's going to be like. All they got to do is make a buying decision. With painting, there's a long wait to see what you're going to get, right?
Yeah, that's where the portfolio, the reviews, the social proof, that
it all matters.
It's all, that's your pre-sale. That's you getting them comfortable, even though they can't see the car, they can't sit in the car, they can't see the paint job. Getting comfortable that you're gonna handle it. And so part of what we do is that's where these customized videos come into play. That's where, hey, I'm the owner. I personally oversee every project, and I want to let you know what's going to happen if you're dissatisfied, or what's going to happen if you want something changed. Here's what's going to happen. So now all of a sudden they know if there's a problem, you are going to fix it, right? That's the big fear of contractors is, oh, well, you paid $10,000, $8,000, you didn't like it. Oh, well, and no one's really, the buck's not really going to stop with anyone. So if you can kind of make sure people know if something happens, what's the process?
I like that. And I think if you have the appropriate customer journey in place prior to even that conversation coming up, subconsciously, you're, as the customer, you're going to know that at the very least, these people communicate. At the very least, worst case scenario, if something does go wrong, up until this point, I have no reason to believe that they won't communicate effectively with me, because when I initially put in that request, I got a text message. When they booked my appointment, I got a text message and an email. When I had a question about changing the time of that appointment, someone got back to me right away. When they came here, they called a couple minutes beforehand and told me that they were running a little late and asked if I wanted a coffee, and it's like, I could clearly tell, even without having that conversation, that this company is going to be trustworthy. On the flip side, though, again, going back to the customer journey, one thing that you and I are both passionate about is automated processes, right? Because we know that a majority of our customers, which are contractors doing under, well, for me, it's usually the majority of contractors are doing under $1 million. So many hats, right? And even though that their value system is in the right place, their business system is not, right? In other words, they value communication and they know that their customers value it, but they seem to fall short on the side of understanding what the customer is going through, that customer journey, right? What are some ways that they can improve that?
Well, I think a big point about it too is what you brought up about, we get kind of numb to these dollar figures, the 4,000, 8,000, 12,000. For us, it's just another day. It's another quote. It's another estimate. They'll close or they won't close or whatever. For them, it's a lot more than that. It's a really big deal. And I think you nailed it on the head. If you kind of set up these systems and use something like Dripjobs, where you actually set it up and it's already running, then it makes your life so much easier. Not only does it make your life easier, not only are you not dropping balls, because you will be, no matter how good you think you are at following up. The average customer needs to be touched 5 to 7 times before they make a purchase decision. So you think about that for a second. How many times are you touching them? You're touching them once, probably whenever they make the estimate. Maybe you touch them again before you go give the estimate. Then you give the estimate. Now you've only touched them 3 times. So you need to keep touching them and communicating with them. And I view it as kind of the Allstate, you're in good hands, right? You want them to feel like they are in good hands. You are carrying them across this journey, and there's nothing that they need to worry about.
It's a momentum ladder, right? And I think that there's a scorecard that's happening behind the scenes with every customer, right? And that score, and usually most people, when they make a decision to reach out to a company by way of your marketing, which is designed to build trust, get people to act, people aren't stupid. They make some sort of mental assessment like, wow, this was a really good ad. I could tell this is a professional company. That is your job in a nutshell. It's like your job is to make people say, hey, that's a really good ad. I could tell this is a professional company. If you can get every person that sees your ad to say that, then you've done a great job as a marketer. From there, though, that's when we transition to the contractor's responsibility. From there, and of course, you can put systems in place to do something along those lines to help with that. Of course, Dripjobs is literally, that's like our
what you guys do.
Like literally, right? It's like what happens after that happens, because essentially, if you look at it, the customer is at 100% trust when they put in their information, when they click the button, dude, that ultimate button, like, holy crap, what did I just do? Brandon put out an awesome ad that emotionally charged me. I saw what my kitchen cabinets would look like. And I hate looking, right? And then, well, what happened? There was this thing that happened from
better be speedy response.
That time period that I hit the button, Brandon, and then I didn't hear back from the company until the next day.
Oh, I call them the next day, or I'll try to call them at lunch.
Yeah, I'll call them at lunch. No, there's no calling them at lunch, buddy.
No,
there's no
you're
lunch.
You're just taking your money and you're just throwing it into a trash can.
If the customer's buying motivation was at 100, their trust was at 100, and their excitement was at 100, guess where it is now after lunch when you had the convenience to reach out to them? 70, 70, 70, right? And then you try to call, they don't answer, and then you yell at Brandon because he didn't, he did a bad
lead. It was a bad lead. It was a bad lead. I called him within the week. It was a terrible lead.
Not a bad lead. It's a bad sale process, right? So, but we know this, that in some cases, the value system of the contractor is not in alignment with the business system. And that's where we plug in those automations. But I want to continue further because, again, I was telling you about keeping score. And I know you know this principle, but again, I just want to voice it because it's so important. You were talking about touch points. If you're at 100, now you waited until the next day, 70, 70, 70, and you say, hey, well, what time can you come out? Well, I don't know when I can come out. It's probably going to be next Friday. I got this job that I'm taking care of. Well, guess where they're at now? 30, 30, 30. Then when you get to there at the house and you do your estimate and you wonder why they don't want to pay you 10 grand to do their kitchen cabinets, all it took was those 2 little hiccups in the buying process for you to lose that. But guess what? If you capitalize on the emotion immediately, that's an automated text and email going right out. If you do that, now you're at 100 on stage 2. right? And then from there, when you show up to the estimate on time, they have no reason to believe that you're anything different than what they originally thought. So you're still at 100. And when you price the job, they're looking at it with looking at you at 100, and you're giving yourself the best chance to win the job at the price you want. Is that all you follow? I know you follow me, but
yeah.
No. Back on that heat, bro.
No, yeah, it's 100%, man. They have momentum. They're excited, and they they lose it. So there's some statistic I read somewhere that a lead is essentially dead after 15 minutes. And
15 minutes.
That's 15 minutes. I think it's a slight exaggeration.
I'm going to put that on our landing page.
It's a slight exaggeration, I believe, but that lead has become a lot colder in just 15 minutes. If 5 minutes is max, the amount of time that you need to be reaching out to them, and really within 60 seconds. And I know that's what Dripjobs does.
Crazy.
I'm
putting it on the landing page.
But 15 minutes and it's dead. But yeah, you end up, like you said, you start at 100, you go to 70, you go to 30, and what you're doing is you're just basically putting yourself back in the ring, with every other company that wants that job.
What was mind blowing is that the idea that the contractor has is, well, they're cheap, the marketer I hired sucks, and no one wants to pay me top dollar, and I can't grow my business this way. Let me try something else. And it's like, if you don't fix that thing right there, if you don't understand that concept, you've got to be a good buyer. Yeah. You've got to understand that process. You got to go through the process.
And I think a big misconception that a lot of painting contractors have is they think that they run a painting company. You don't run a painting company. You paint. You offer paint. That's a service. What you really need to run is a sales and marketing company that offers painting as a service. Yeah. Because ultimately, you are literally competing as the homeowner themselves. The homeowner themselves, oftentimes, not with everything, obviously, but with a lot of these just interior, exterior paint, they could go do it themselves if they really wanted to. So how do you run a painting company? How is that really what you run? What you run is you sell them peace of mind. You take care of it for them. You run the fact that they don't have to worry about it. They don't have to figure out how to do it, take the time to do it, to think about whether or not they're going to screw it up. They're paying you for peace of mind. So you run a sales and marketing company that you're selling them peace of mind, and what you're providing is a service of painting. And I think when you start to think about it that way, you don't just show up and, give an estimate, they'll take it or leave it. I'll give an estimate, they'll take it or leave it. No, much of your work should have already been done. The painting is just kind of the icing on the cake. That happens at the end. But you run a sales and marketing company, when you show up the estimate, that's your job. Up until then, and then through the estimate, that is your company. The painting is just most of you guys subcontract anyway. It's not even your company. So that literally your job is done. Then you have some quality control and you have some other stuff that you need to do. But it's a mental shift that needs to happen if you really want to grow. If you want to stop being at 150, 250,000, you want to go to a million, several million. That's the shift that you have to make.
I mean,
I got heated about that. I get excited about that.
No, I mean, I felt that. I it's important. I mean, it's like if you want to actually like own a business, you really got to have the mindset of your customers. I think the best marketing is through the eyes of your audience, and marketing always changes, right?
Empathy
I mean,
is key,
yeah. I mean, it's just interesting how that works. But if you're so narrow focused on your own processes and all that, you kind of lose sight of how the market is always moving. Every moment it's changing the way people buy. Soon we might in 5 years have a conversation about how to freaking put ads in the meta, about how that's going to happen. I mean, just simply because clearly it's going to happen. It's just a matter of, will the market adopt to that, and how will the painting business respond? I
wonder when Amazon's going to start
painting with the drones. No, dude. My thing with Amazon, no, I'm being honest. My thing with Amazon is VR grocery shopping, where you just go there and you get to experience walking through the aisles just like you would, and you just boop, click that one, boop, boop, boop.
Ah, man. Oh man,
and then boom, it's just delivered to you, and you feel like you went to the. I mean, that's how. I mean, I feel like that's going to happen. 100%. Hopefully,
I'll actually go to the grocery store with my wife then.
You just like check out. Yeah,
I'll go to the living room. It's fine.
Yeah, she's like shopping, and your VR's off. You're like frozen in the
like playing some shooting game.
Yeah. But there's one more topic I gotta cover here. All right, and I really want to cover it because I feel like marketing is like if you guys think of a push mower, right? A push mower. You ever mow your lawn?
I've mowed it quite a
few times. Have a push? You ever
don't mow it anymore? Thank God.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
You You ever crank the cord and it just wouldn't kick, dude? Isn't that like the worst feeling? Isn't it really like you're just pulling that thing and you just think
I already didn't like mowing, so that just made it worse.
Yeah, and it just made it worse. You think the more you pull that thing, it's just going to crank, right?
Your
business is the motor, okay? Your business is the motor, right? And if you don't have marketing, the motor shuts off and it turns on when you get a lead come in organically through your website that you think people just go to because they just decide to type in random websites.
You just hang a shingle outside your door. Yeah. It's like a physical office. You just hang a shingle and then people just line up. Actually,
it's just amazing. Line up, right? That's how it works, right? And it's like your business is the motor, right? And essentially without a steady flow, right? Essentially, I believe that the marketing is, someone coming in and gassing up that mower to just keep it running, man. Keep it running. But every time it stops, you got to stop the mower, crank it back on again and stop it and crank it. And it's just like, that's what marketing is designed to do, is to keep the things moving so everything else around you can continue to move. Because every time marketing stops, in other words, every time your own devices cease, everything else stops around you. Production gets scarce. The pipeline slows down. Sales, really no conversions there. And then doubt creeps in. Growth doesn't happen. Marketing is the driving force of your business. And if you don't know how to do it, if we can rewind this back to the beginning of this, where you were talking about keywords and all these crazy things that I don't even know. If you don't know it, the time it's going to take you to learn it, master it, and keep up with how it changes, you're not going to have time to run your business. Hire someone to do it for you. Stop holding on to the money. Okay. And with that final thought, how do they find you, Brand? If you're the guy, if you're listening to this and you like this guy, which I fully endorse, by the way, if you like this guy and you want him to talk with you about marketing, how does it happen, bro?
Yep. Yeah. They can shoot me an email at brandon@paintermarketingpros.com. You can also check out our website, paintermarketingpros.com. There you can actually watch a free demo of our process. So you can just click watch the video and you can read all about our company. Or again, you can email me directly, brandon@paintermarketingpros.com.
Awesome. And then if you use coupon code Tanner,
it's 100% off for 5 years.
You get a cool book. Actually, I have your book right here.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I like that. That coupon code sounds good. Coupon code Tanner.
I keep it close.
I love it, man. So I love it.
Yeah. So this is that's Brandon here.
Yeah.
He's a published author, and maybe he'll hook you up with this book.
You have to use coupon code Tanner, though.
You got to use coupon code Tanner. There's nowhere to put in the coupon code. You literally got
to say it or type it.
You got to talk to him and be like, coupon code Tanner, and just wait to see what he does.
And you have to make it really awkward.
Thanks, bro, for joining us here. I hope everyone watching this got something out of this. I hope that if you're in your car, you literally just like pull over and go to Brandon's website and get started, because you got to take action on things like this. I used to spend a lot of money on marketing and I gave it to the wrong people. I gave it to Home Advisor. It would have been great to have somebody one-on-one with me that can walk through my needs specifically, that I could be like, yo, I need you to scale this up, scale this down. I need you to change this ad. These leads maybe are getting the wrong impression. Can you alter this? And I think when you have someone like that, you don't feel as though you're just, you're out of control. And I think having a guy that come in and do that is huge. So hope you go with this guy, coupon code Tanner. He'll give you a free book.
Thanks, Tanner.
All right. I'll catch you later, man.
See ya.